Hello, on behalf of Lincolnshire Police Authority, welcome to the authority's version of Question Time, where we'll be answering some of the questions that you've asked during our engagement events throughout the summer, and also questions that have been submitted via the authority and the force's website. To help me with that task is the chairman of Lincolnshire Police Authority, Barry Young. His colleague, Paul Prislack, who has special responsibility for communities and partnerships. On my left is Chief Superintendent Lee Freeman, who is a divisional commander, and next to Lee is Peter Steed, who is the Force's financial director. And it's appropriate, I think, we'll start with finance. One of the questions, it's been asked in several different ways, but this is the one that we've chosen. To the police authority, I suppose. You're always telling communities you've got no money. Now you're being told to save money by the government, so is not amalgamation with other forces the answer?
Alan, I smile because I have a sense of, haven't we been here before? There was a big amalgamations or merger debate 3 or 4 years ago where when the then government decided that forced amalgamations was the way forward. Cut a very long story short, I think we all know now that the whole thing collapsed because it was just too difficult, too expensive, and frankly, people didn't want it. This government's view, and I share it completely, is that amalgamations should not be on the agenda, unless we can demonstrate that they can be achieved with no additional cost, which I can tell you is impossible, and unless, and this is a big unless, the people of the county or counties concerned actually want it. And it's absolutely clear that here in Lincolnshire the people do not want it because they're understandably afraid that we, being a bit small and quiet, are likely to lose some of our police officers on a Saturday night if there's a riot or whatever going on in Nottingham. So not on the agenda, but having said that, I do appreciate that we've got to look for ways of saving money. The way in which we do it are to work collaboratively with other forces around us, and we're embarking now on a big study which could revolutionise the way we are policed here in Lincolnshire. We want, and hope our partners do too, to concentrate in terms of our local force on local issues. We know the county best, we know what people want, we know how to police them. And when it comes to the bigger stuff, the counter-terrorism, the fighting serious and organised crime, then we will work in very close collaboration with partners elsewhere.
It's all, Peter, I think, it all boils down to money at the end of the day, unfortunately, doesn't it? So I suppose it all falls into your lap. Cooperation, is it the answer?
It is one of the answers that we have. I mean, the track record for the East Midlands has been successful collaboration and joint provision of services, especially, as Barry's already said, on the serious crime aspects that we have. The challenge for us coming forward is to say, rather than having 5 forces, for there are 5 forces within the East Midlands region, each providing small specialist units, do we get benefits from pulling those small specialist units together, increasing resilience, bringing them together into bigger teams, better skilled, better resourced, able to deal with problems as and when they arise. That's good sense in terms of management, it's good sense in terms of operational delivery. The fact that it also delivers financial benefits is another boon to us and of great benefit to us at this time.
Lee, operationally, would it work, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I echo what Peter said, really. This is, for us, a driver towards providing a more effective service to people of Lincolnshire, more so than the financial benefits. In the world that we live in, we have to provide protective services around serious and organised crime and counter-terrorism and major crime. Lincolnshire Police is best placed to provide those services for the inhabitants of this county in collaboration with the other 4 regional forces. What that also enables us to do is make sure that we then protect the local policing services that we need to provide for Lincolnshire specific to our communities. And I think regardless of the financial situation, that is the most effective way to deliver policing services over the next 15, 25 years.
So in all this money-saving edicts from the government, there is, this is one bright spot. It is possible by collaborative working in the East Midlands to provide the sort of policing that the people of Lincolnshire deserve and need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could I just add
Yes.
one very quick point, and that is that the collaborative work that we're engaged in and all the studies we're undertaking are not just confined to policing as such. We're looking very much at some of the backroom services as well, where we think that by working in collaboration with others, we can actually save money.
Right, gentlemen, if we can just put money to one side for a little while. If I can come back to you, Lee, a question here is, it seems to me that small crimes are ignored. Things like cycling on pavements and dog mess seem to be getting worse. And when I'm out in my car, I frequently see people on their phones. What's being done about it? Again, that's a distillation, if you like, of 20 or so questions that we've received.
I mean, within the county, there are a number of plans currently in place designed specifically to tackle things that actually probably once considered not to be a policing matter. But they've been raised as part of neighbourhood policing priorities through the local neighbourhood panels, of which members of the community sit on and actually define what they think are the local priorities that they want the police and partners to tackle in that area. A good example would be Market Raisin, who have recently conducted some specific patrols to identify, stop and challenge individuals riding on pavements, and that's resulted in some warnings and some fixed penalty notices actually being administered. Such activities are replicated across the county, and with our partners on the local community, we've specifically got some projects on around how we begin to join up with the police and the neighbourhood policing panels around providing other wider public services as well, which may be around housing, around debt and advice. So actually, in terms of managing the minor crimes, I do think the panels are well positioned in the neighbourhood policing plans to actually deliver some of those. In relation to the mobile phone usage, the Home Office recognised this as a particular problem and actually has increased the penalty on this to a endorsable fixed penalty notice. So that means instead of a £30 fine, it's now £60 and 3 points on your licence. Lincolnshire Police has undertaken a number of operations, and on the 13th of September there is a nationwide operation looking at seatbelt campaign, and we'll be out there tackling that as part of the road safety. Seatbelts, speeding in particular, drink driving, there are fatal 4 of which we do concentrate on, and our officers out there are tackling these problems on a daily basis.
So small crime is not being ignored or put to one side at the expense of maybe more high profile.
No, the very essence of the local neighbourhood policing panels, and anybody who's watching this, I absolutely urge them, please, to get in contact with your local PCSO neighbourhood policing panel. That is what they're there for, to tackle those local problems that maybe normally would have fallen under the radar before we had these structures in place.
Okay, we have a question about PCSOs. If we scrap PCSOs, we could have more actual police officers, says this questioner, couldn't we? That's what people really want. Paul, I don't know whether, as I say, you have a special responsibility for communities and partnerships. How do you see the value of PCSOs?
Certainly, again, if I talk locally, our local PCSO is highly valued. He's doing a grand job. I think, again, to a certain extent, it does come back to finance. The PCSO is not a warranted officer, but is there as the eyes and ears of the warranted officer, and is a presence on the street. It creates this high visibility, and
You think PCSOs perform a useful function, as opposed to people who say, well, they're plastic bobbies, which is Blunkett's plastic bobbies going back a few years. In your experience, they perform
certainly in my
function.
experience, and indeed the experience of the people that I represent locally, they do an excellent job.
Right. That is a question that we can return to in our next question time, and I promise you that we will. Thank you very much indeed for watching. You can ask questions, as I say, on the Police Authority website or indeed on the Force website, and keep them coming in. Thank you once again, and thank you to our panellists.